What is up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode, the first round of the HeroesHearth Entertainment Warcraft 3 Fight Night. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome you to this new format on the Warcraft 3 skies, if you will. It's the first time we're doing this, so everything went perfectly well, starting on time, nailed it. Got the players in there, nailed it. So it's my pleasure to also introduce you to my co-host. My name is Kendric, and I'm being joined by the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Grubby. How's it going, man?
Yeah, it's my very first cast for Warcraft 3 where it wasn't some kind of random impromptu ad hoc thing. So I'm very excited about this, and I couldn't be happier than to be casting it with an old friend. We did a lot together in Heroes of the Storm, Kendric. So very glad to be doing this with you, and we've got an amazing match coming up. So I'm feeling really good.
Yeah, and the match actually, without further ado, man, it's actually on the way already. We're trying to make up for some lost time here. But as you said, it's an absolute pleasure to do this with you, Grubby. Like, we've been doing a little bit of Heroes of the Storm together, casting some events. We're both streamers. I think we're on the same wavelength as well, so we're super well equipped, I think, to do this for you. Now, a couple of pieces of information for you guys who don't know about the Fight Night yet. It is, of course, a fun match series, but there is some seriousness on the line as well, as there is glory and fame and also money to be won. The winner of this series gets $200. The loser still doesn't go home empty-handed, $100 worth of money for him. And, of course, the cool thing about this is as well, guys, that all bits that you guys contribute to the stream will find their way into the stream production. So the players are going to get the major share of it. Something that's left, goes into production, so we can keep this up for you. I think the split is 60-40, so 60% of all the incoming bits will be shared with the players. So that's pretty cool to, increase the prize money even more.
Yeah, it's a really cool system because here we have iNSUPERABLE and HunteR. They're playing for basically $100 with $100 participation. But bits, they get a quarter of all cheer bits, Twitch cheer bits. And 10% goes to production. 40% goes into a prize pot, which is called the bounty, that the champion takes with them from match to match that they win. So this is a King of the Hill system. Every 2 weeks there will be a Warcraft 3 Friday Fight Night, and by HeroesHearth here. And the bounty keeps growing. So when a challenger comes in, they can actually steal that bounty away from the previous champion and take it for themselves. But the only way to collect it is by walking away from the next challenge. So there's a lot at stake here with pride and prize money. So we'll see what kind of decisions these players make. But like you said, Kendric, we're making up for lost time. The game has started and is underway.
And already we see First Blood coming in for the Fight Night here, the Death Knight, mercilessly coiling that Wisp to death. Now, I'm pretty sure we're going to get permanent health bars here activated at any given point. I saw someone highlighting that. Once again, guys, if there are any technical difficulties, anything not going super smooth, then, of course, please bear with us. This is the first time we're doing this. And as we're already seeing here as well, pretty good Lightning Shield creep, Grubby. That's always a little highlight right off the get-go, right?
Yeah, and that's actually really cool because we are now in 2019 and these Lightning Shield creep tricks, they have been really improved in the last few years. You would think that in a game where there's been avid pro gaming for 10 years with really famous stars, that all these things would have been figured out already. But creeping has never been more efficient than nowadays. With a lot of Lightning Shield creeping, people know how to abuse the AI on these creeps. And HunteR did that really well. But we have iNSUPERABLE here, having a very strong start here. He got the coil on the Wisp, didn't detonate. He's stolen the creep, and he is here with level 2. Here he is against the Keeper that is hoping to creep all the way to level 2 with treants and then getting entangled. But instead, it is he who will be picking up after iNSUPERABLE. He's level 1, so he has no real threat against this Death Knight here.
Yeah, this is almost unheard of, the Death Knight reaching level 2 before or ahead of time of the Keeper, because we all know how strong the Keeper is level 1, level 2 and 3 especially, so he's so dependent on these further talents and levels, right? When he gets the Entangle, if he starts with Treants first, when he gets to level 2 Treants at level 3, like, he's really dependent on making it to level 2 and 3 as quickly as possible. And as you said, the Death Knight already dealing some great damage. Look at those Hunters, the Archers, they're definitely under a lot of pressure, even gets a kill of that.
I mean, The Death Knight had the Dust of Appearance, so HunteR knew it was futile to stand still and hide. And while that is a loss that he will regret a little bit, there wasn't much he could do anymore. But we should take a look at the overarching game plan for both players here. In the Undead Night Elf matchup, generally it is Night Elf that is the setter of the pace, and Undead that will play reactively, harassy, and tech fast. So HunteR is actually plopping down an expansion. If we take a look at the initial creep camp, on the left of the laboratory, there's a blue dot in the exact north of the map, at the 12 o'clock position. And in the exact north of the map, there's a Tree of Life, a little bit to the right, a little bit to the right, and to the left. There we go. There's a Tree of Life building in this cubby hole here, and it is his intent to eat trees all the way through the woods to make a direct route to the gold mine. And while that will take a little bit longer to get the tree there, it is an extremely safe way of getting his expansion there that cannot be harassed. Oh, nice surround!
There's a surround already, and the Death Knight is in trouble now, getting blocked by his own minions. The skeletons blocking the way there, and has to use the town portal already. That was a pretty expensive loss there. It's always a little bit annoying when you have to use your scrolls of town portal early on, 350 gold. It's still better than losing your level 2 or level 3 hero, mind you, but still, that's going to take a lot of time and momentum away from iNSUPERABLE, who actually had played so well, as you said, Grubby.
Yeah, and great job by HunteR to sniff him out here. Of course, this is a small map, kind of like a knife fight in an alley, and you're not going to give the opponents a lot of chance to walk away from an engagement like that. Right. Still, the surround was crucial. Great micro, and a little bit unlucky there for iNSUPERABLE. The very skeleton that was supposed to open up the way to set him free got bashed by the creep, stunned, pinned in place, and prevented the Death Knight to get away. So that's a lovely opening there for HunteR. His tree, even now, will be eating through the woods, and he'll be looking at plopping down an expansion with the usual meta going for mass air. Trying to get more air than an undead could possibly have Cryptvians for to web them down. Fairy Dragons, for instance. We'll see if that's actually what he's going to be going for. In the pre-game interview that you conducted with HunteR, he said he had a few different strategies against undead and felt pretty good about it.
That is true, and we were actually wondering. In the meantime, we see a little bit of a skirmish going down in the middle here as the freshly bought Alchemist already has to say goodbye again as he gets greeted by a Frosty Lich Nova combined with a Death Coil. We all know how strong the Death Knight Lich combo can be. Great hero nuke there, but the Death Knight is still pretty low in health, so if for some reason HunteR gets another surround on him, for example, after an entangle, that could result in a lot of pain. However, there is a healing potion on the Death Knight. Nice reaction there, preventing the Wisp from detonating the skeletons and the mana. Pretty good, and this expansion, Grubby, I'm not sure if it's going to go through.
Yeah, we have HunteR here giving way too much space. He thought his archers were going to be the target, and his Tree of Life was going to be safe, but he was absolutely wrong. A fatal judgment error. And unless he gets the entangle and kill on the Death Knight...
That's a good surround.
Oh, the next treant is not closing the gap, and now it is! Beautiful end to meet here, and they all agree on one thing. This Death Knight is going down.
This Death Knight was going to go down indeed. We actually touched upon it. Maybe it's the caster curse, Grubby. We know that being, or you being a streamer as well, of course, you know, the streamer curse. Whenever you say something that's going to happen, the exact opposite oftentimes comes to life. But yeah, that is a big win for HunteR. Despite his expansion falling early, which is always annoying, it costs you a lot of resources, especially since he didn't cancel it. It was already alive. But then kind of making up for it by getting that crucial kill on the first hero of the Undead. Now, in terms of experience, we see a couple of strategies, a couple of variants how Night Elves play this matchup, right? Someone like Moon, for example, is well known for doing a Keeper solo. But then again, there's also a couple of Alchemists. And looks like this Alchemist is now solo creeping to kind of make up for this experience loss early when he died.
Yeah, exactly. The problem is okay, so the Night Elf is multitasking, right? His tier 2 finished. So he's building things at home in his base. His Keeper of the Grove was creeping in the most efficient way possible at the expansion. And the Alchemist, he hired it quickly. He tapped it, and then he looked away for a second, and he started creeping. And then he just didn't hear the attack command of the console telling you, your Alchemist is under attack. Because he's also engaging in aggro from the creeps. And sometimes, you know, the nerfs, you don't have that awareness, and he lost his Alchemist in a rather silly way. But maybe we can just say that he was buying time for his expansion and for the... No, it was a mistake. But he made up for it.
All right. Yeah, we all know how important it can be sometimes to create space, tactical feeding. I'm definitely aware of how that happens sometimes in my own games. Now, speaking of tactical feeding, that archer does not commit said phenomenon and is being saved here from the creeps. Good micro there. And that's something we have to keep in the back of our minds as well, Grubby, right? As HunteR said, the only thing that he feels that holds him back sometimes when fighting the international competition is his lag and the input delays. So let's see how much of a problem or how much of an issue that will turn out to be in the course of this series.
Yeah, of course he's used to practicing on Europe ladder, where he has 400 plus ping. Now it's only in the 100 plus, so this is like heaven for him. But let's not forget the frustration or the difficulty that he has to deal with sometimes, being from South America and having a worse routing to the major Warcraft 3 servers. It speaks to his tenacity and perseverance that he has been playing this game at a high level for so long. And I'm so glad with Fight Night, HeroesHearth is able to give him the chance to play in a big online match. We don't see as many matches in North America right now, and Fight Night is going to take a spot up there, which is lovely. Speaking of Fight Night, it is night, and a fight, it looks like it might be imminent. We just have a Destroyer morph here by iNSUPERABLE, and generally you do that right before a fight.
Yep. So you do that. You can sort of use it as a surprise moment, of course, when the enemy is not really sure yet. Does he have the upgrade ready or not? And then you can sometimes land these crucial dispels, for example, on the Treants, or on the Entangle, of course.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually kind of a cool move to leave that statue to give health and or mana right up until that crucial moment. Someone thinks, oh, I can take out your hero with an Entangle. Bam, statue becomes a Destroyer, queue up the Absorb, the Devour command, and it only takes a second extra. Might be crucial, but that second can be a lovely deception, like you're alluding to.
All right, we see set Devour here on the poor little transfer running away. Right now, of course, there is a little bit of anti-air going already. In fact, the entire army of HunteR is very well capable of dealing with those destroyers. So microing the destroyers is very important. As we said, you need to keep your heroes safe, the units from the Entangle as well. The trains are such a problem sometimes when they overwhelm the numbers of the fiends of the undead players. So you really want to keep those destroyers as the core piece of your army in those fights.
Exactly, Kendric, and that's the exact opposite objective here for HunteR. If he takes out the Destroyer, his Keeper can cast spells with great impunity. His Hippogriff Riders can entangle, focus fire on the Cryptfiend.
Nice
and Abomination comes into play here by iNSUPERABLE. Really unique choice. We don't see that a lot in this matchup. He goes for the Entangle on the DK. There's no Devour yet. DK gets away with a lot less life than he had at the start of this fight. Forced to use invulnerability, but crucially, he's almost level 4. He could take death back, he could save himself, and it could be a big turning point. iNSUPERABLE's doing pretty well here, Kendric.
Yeah, he's doing very well. Loses a Fiend there, as we say, but the Death Knight only has that many coils available, of course, and there is a cooldown. Now, the undead players, they have to micro a lot of these intense battles because you have to make sure to use your destroyers. You have to micromanagement your heroes. You have to take control of the Fiends as well, and that seems a little bit too much for iNSUPERABLE to handle with right now. One Fiend after the other is falling. The DK gets level 4, though. The heroes are looking good, and that is oftentimes what really decides the battles. The heroes, not the army for the undead.
Great Coil Nova by iNSUPERABLE. Max distance Coil Nova killing the Alchemist, and the DK running away with 20 life or less. I wonder if he has Unholy Aura. You can actually check the icon at the middle bottom of the screen. If he has Unholy Aura level 2, it's right at the
Which he has,
bottom.
yeah.
There we go. Okay, so he hasn't got Death Pact. That means he cannot save himself. Bought the potion to do so. And with Unholy Aura, he can save himself with sheer speed. Good move by iNSUPERABLE here, but we should not forget that his Cryptfiend count has been reset to ground 0. And what does he really have here? His heroes, 3 units. And this isn't enough siege damage to take down the Tree of Life. HunteR will try to buy as much time as he can. Made a great use of that Goblin Shredder before, and he will try to keep this expo up.
And at this point, Grubby, it feels like the undead player is playing against a ticking time bomb, right? With this expansion in hand, the Night Elf player is always going to be able to pump out more units, even if a fight doesn't go too well for him. So the undead player iNSUPERABLE in that case is really trying to knock down this expansion. But as you said, there's not a whole lot of good damage, siege damage against that, right? No normal damage, no siege damage. And the Fiends plus the Destroyers, they just don't really cut it in terms, of bringing the expansion down quickly.
Exactly. That's 2 Crit Fiends down. Air coil.
Ooh.
2 Crit Fiends down. A coil has been missed. No Night Elf units died in this engagement. The Fairy Dragon's low. There we go. First Hippo Rider down. Destroyer goes down. Entangle. Not enough mana right now, but if he has one, there will be no Destroyer to counter it.
Yeah, and already the Undead is on the retreat. The Scourge has no power here for now. Too great are the numbers of HunteR here in that case. The Keeper, the Alchemist, everything is really good shape. No threat, really. Let's actually check on the protective items here. Yeah, the Alchemist has an Invo Potion, even has a Potion of Healing as well on top of it. The Keeper also looking pretty safe there with a health potion of his own. And that is really important when you play against Undead, of course. That infamous Hero Nuke, the Coil Nova combo. As soon as you see the Undead going for that Haymaker play, when you're behind an economy, when you're behind an army, sometimes your best bet is to go for a Hail Mary hero attack. But so far, I think Grubby HunteR is very well equipped against that.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a lot of cool permanent items to boost his health count. We're getting to that situation where iNSUPERABLE is doing a last-ditch effort. He goes in on the Keeper. That's pretty much his only chance. He goes for the Cylance, but right after the Entangle, Keeper is more than half-life, drinks the potion just in case. And the DK gets taken down. That should be it. Great performance by HunteR. He lost his Tree of Life early on, but rallied with 2 very cool surrounds. One at the middle and one at the north as well. The counter expansion by iNSUPERABLE is smart. It was kind of like a plan B, even though he wasn't really in plan B scenarios. But at this time, that's a lot of trees coming in.
Yeah, the deforestation there is real, near to the Undead expansion there. It was a good attempt. You know, sometimes when you have your own expansion coming up, you want to distract the enemy, prevent them from moving out on the map too much, prevent them from scouting easily. But I think, as you said, Grubby, this is looking mighty dire and grim here for iNSUPERABLE. He's trying everything he can, lands a good coil on the Crypt Fiend here. But look at the numbers, the sheer numbers. Although Crypt Fiends, if you have the critical mass, are super good against this squishy air army from the Night Elf player. At this point, it's the other way around. The critical mass of the air units is just overpowering. And iNSUPERABLE, I think, will go down, not being so iNSUPERABLE after all in game number 1, it seems.
Exactly. It looks like he has been
GG.
bested. Death Knight going down. GG. 1-0 in this best of 5 for HunteR. A great start for him. And we'll see what the next map is going to be. We've got 6 other maps in the pool.
Yep. Of course, we do have the standard competitive map pool available for you guys, so there won't be any shenanigans like no Lost Temple, no Woods, all the good stuff that I remember from all those years when I actively played the game competitively myself. But yeah, although it's kind of nice to see these maps in action sometimes. I think the only living relic, or the only living relic scrubbing, I think, in maps are like Turtle Rock. That one is not really getting played that much anymore in Twisted.
I remember when
super
Turtle
old
Rock
school
was
ones?
new, Kendric.
Same.
It's like Turtle Rock came out, I was like, I don't know if I like this map. I don't know if it's going to be staying in the map pool very much. Became a mainstay, and now it is old school.
Yeah. I sometimes there these days, you know, watching all this beautiful Warcraft 3 content that is currently emerging on the internet, but sometimes there are these times where I miss Lost Temple. That map brings back so many good and sometimes bad memories too. What about you?
Yeah, exactly. It's one of my favorite maps. It's pretty imbalanced, but it's so iconic through StarCraft 1 and Warcraft 2. It's still in 2v2 AT, by the way, and random team.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's still playable there, which is pretty cool.
Here we go. So once again, guys, while we're using this downtime, while the players are setting up game number 2, let's just go over some of the, background rules, some of the background system here that we've got for the HeroesHearth Fight Night with Warcraft 3. That's taking place bi-weekly, by the way, guys. So every 14 days, there will be a new matchup coming for you. And the way it works, as Grubby touched upon earlier, it is a King of the Hill system. So the winner gets to play again 2 weeks later, fighting a new challenger. And that, of course, makes for very interesting storylines. If HunteR or iNSUPERABLE were to win this series, you would see them again in 2 weeks fighting a new contender until basically one of the players decides to either cash out, move back with a tail between the legs and say, yep, that's it. I'm not taking any more risks. I've got my $5,000 and I'm going to cash out. Or until the the champion gets dethroned by a particularly hungry challenger. And
Yeah, exactly. And if they do that, they take the bounty, and they'll be faced with the same decision that they have to make. Speaking of challengers, I see one of my frequent opponents on the European ladder, Kevin Schwem, the German night elf that we often meet at night. He's like, "Can I play in this format?" Yeah. He's like, "Can I play in this format?" I'm like, "Sure." HeroesHearth is taking interested players. Send them an email, and they'll consider you for future matches.
Yeah, exactly. There's no rule saying that players from certain regions cannot participate, right? As long as you're fine with potential ping delays if you happen to play against an American champion, for example.
Yeah, we can figure out how that we can figure out how that works with crossplay, Europe and NA. It's never going to be 100% ideal, but at the end of the day, everyone gets paid. Some cheer bits are streaming in already. Thank you guys so much for supporting this show. Again, cheer bits is 25% player 1, 25% player 2, 10% goes to the production crew, and 40% goes into the bounty. So everything is going back into the esports of Warcraft 3 by HeroesHearth. We've got the next game coming up. The map is going to be Concealed Hill.
Yep, definitely a good choice. Sometimes, certain maps, they allude to certain races having a little bit of an advantage or feeling particularly well on those. Amazonia, for example, could be used for Night Elves. They feel very much at home there. I think Concealed Hills, I haven't heard any race doing particularly well. You can, of course, correct me if I'm wrong there, Grubby. But I think it's a fairly balanced map given the fact how young it is.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. Like you said, Concealed Hill is a young map, and normally when there's a healing fountain on the map, it looks like orcs are very happy with it. Many races will be like, "Oh no, against orc on a healing fountain." But the healing fountains are so well protected and so much out of the way that it's actually not a trivial sidestep to go there to heal. So it is actually really well done the way that this map is built. It's a community map now incorporated by Blizzard as part of all the extra effort they're putting into Warcraft with Reforged coming out. And it is a rather long map. It's interesting because you've got the split map situation, but it's not as egregious as on a map like Terran's Stand. So sometimes you have players creeping their own side of the map, but there's a lot of tactical play, especially with that big walkway along the middle, which can be a crossing point and a point of contention, because the best item on the map is smack daddy in the middle. And sometimes you have people creeping it way faster than you would believe is possible. And then, the other guy has to scout it and stop it.
Yeah, sometimes Warcraft also could be renamed Auracraft when you find that golden aura that really adds so much synergy with your army. When you're a Night Elf, for example, who has a lot of ranged units, then of course, the POTM aura is going to give you so much extra value. If you're an undead, you're definitely not going to say no to a Catgir's Pipe, giving you that juicy mana regeneration. So there's a couple of items that really sometimes spark the interest of the players, and they're really trying to rush that. And also great is the disappointment when it's just,
Crystal Ball,
one of the Helm of... what do you call it?
Helm of Valor.
Helm of Valor, yeah.
Strength and agility, yeah. So we'll see how this is approached. So we're looking at the Undead and Night Elf matchup now. So if I'm in Super Bowl, I'm down 0-1, and I face the most standard emerging trend of Keeper Alchemist with archers creeping. He had a pretty good start, but actually, Amazonia, it is a bit of a difficult map. This was the map that they narrowed it down to by both vetoing. And Amazonia, Night Elf has a really easy time expanding because of that walking through the tree thing. The fact that iNSUPERABLE ambushed the tree is actually better than you could possibly hope for. So I'd be a little worried if I played the exact same way, because what HunteR did there is possible here as well. There's two major Tree of Life building locations. You need to scout them out with skeletons and acolytes. I'll point them out to you as the game begins. And there is a chance to cancel it if you see it instantly with acolytes, skeletons, and the Death Knight. We'll see if that works out.
And that's the thing too, right, Grubby? In that game, as you said, it went really well for iNSUPERABLE in the early game. He even canceled the expansion. That's very rare on high-level play for undeads to be this successful. Then, of course, he also had that early alchemist kill, so things were going really well for the undead. But even that was not enough to overcome his opponent in the late game because HunteR struck back pretty hard with a couple of good hero surrounds himself with the trans. So that can really sometimes get into your mind, right? Even with that super glorious early game, destroying the expansion, great. Dealing tons of damage, killing an archer here and there, fantastic. But even then, it's not enough to overcome those damn Night Elves.
And it's possible that you look at that and you say, there's nothing else I can do. And the beauty of Warcraft 3, and sometimes the ugliness, is that this is not a truth that you can actually accept if you focus on improvement. And it's actually not true either, because there's always been other strategies that players haven't considered. For example, a 120, the top 2 undead in the world right now, maybe the best. Some people will say Happy. We don't know. They don't meet often enough. Happy doesn't play enough tournaments for that. But 120 has been innovating the matchup quite a bit. We've been seeing him go for Death Knight into Naga Sea Witch, who comes out from the tavern a lot faster than Lich. And so imagine all the advantages that iNSUPERABLE built up with his first hero, then joined by a quick Naga Sea Witch. What could you do with that? That's one option. Another thing he's done is don't even go tier 3. Stay on tier 2, counter expand, double crypt, mass crypt fiends with web. Like, do you really need the orb? Not really. You just need a lot of web. But what about Entangle? It's okay. I got more crypt fiends.
Exactly. There's a whole bunch of variety that you can play in Warcraft 3. New strategies, although the game is in, quite the proud age, are still emerging. I remember watching a little bit of Warcraft 3 professionally on Back to Warcraft. Shoutouts to them, by the way, to our dear colleagues. And especially in Orc versus Night Elf, there's this new shaman tactic coming up. People relying more on shamans than they did before, trying to catch people off guard with that, dispelling treants and dispelling heroes on the run. So there's still new stuff. There's still new stuff coming out, and that's the beauty of Warcraft 3, constantly evolving, never standing still.
Yeah. Looks like we finally have everyone ready in.
What's the game name right now? Fight Night? It's not, by the way.
Mit 2.
Gotcha. All right, cool. I'm on my way.
All right. So it's actually interesting because I think we can share what iNSUPERABLE is saying here. He didn't expect air. That's cool. It is the most cookie cutter strategy right now by Night Elf. Warcraft 3 distinguishes itself by the beautiful micro moments, the creeping, and so on and so forth. We don't have 10 different strats, nor should it be that way. Of course, there's always a few ways that people believe are best. And he said, you've always been playing dryads and bears against me. So that's already quite a nice mind game by HunteR to open the series with that, which blows this game right open.
Absolutely. And that is the cool thing, We talked about the fight night being a glorious brawl where there's a lot of action and mayhem going on, but let's not forget that players can still bust out crazy tactics or unexpected tactics to really make sure that they surprise their opponents. So there is some high-level mind games going on right now, as you said, with HunteR relying on the air unit style when iNSUPERABLE didn't even prepare for that. So already cool to see these mind games coming to fruition.
Yeah, exactly. And we have the game starting here now. The game has started. We're going into the game. Altar, Ancient of War coming out. We see that the Ancient of War by HunteR is actually fairly conservatively placed. You can build it quite a bit if you go north a bit. You can place it quite a bit closer to creeps, which makes you just creep it slightly faster. But it opens you up to a immediate ghoul harass. Sometimes undeads do a trick like this, especially when they feel they're on the back foot. They'll send the first ghoul. This costs them a lot of lumber. They'll make a necropolis for food instead of a ziggurat to make up for the lumber deficit. And the ghoul is supposed to have the creeps walk to the Ancient of War by pulling them, and then kill the Ancient of War before it finishes. This kind of trick can just completely throw an opponent off. That's why he builds it a little further back, so we can see that HunteR is playing it a little safe here.
Yeah, sometimes we will see an early scouting acolyte as well for the undeads to kind of go for the same strategy, or just in general be on the lookout for early expansion plays. But it looks like iNSUPERABLE this time actually doesn't scout early, sends an Acolyte now, as we see it across the map. And maybe there are those glorious moments, right, where you go with that early Acolyte or any early scouting unit, really, and you have that glorious last hit on a minion, on a mercenary, and steal away a huge chunk of experience from the opposing hero. Although those things happen rarely, it is even more glorious when it happens.
Yeah, exactly. It's just amazing. It's like scoring in soccer/football from the middle line over the goalkeeper with some kind of magical, amazing ball. The Acolyte could do so right here.
Oh
no! No,
he did not do it, but he was close. It looked like he was able to.
It was like a microsecond too early.
What a great call that would have been here in our casting debut, Grubby. We could have already labeled ourselves prophets or something, but not this time. The keeper is happy and gets that little bit of experience under his belt.
So interesting, actually, what iNSUPERABLE did the moment that he saw that happened. He instead of going there with his DK immediately, he decided to kill a sheep, make skeletons out of it, use his first coil on the spider crab. And the Death Knight right now is creeping with skeletons only. And if he gets an experience tome, that would be a huge boost into the game. Intelligence, second best pick. Still good.
Yeah, intelligence, of course, helps towards building a healthy mana pool. Probably, as you said, the most important thing to get after the glorious golden tome. Still debatable, whether we still want these in the games. But a little bit of RNG ain't hurt nobody until,
Until it does. Okay, I'm a little confused by HunteR right now. He has 600 gold and 400 lumber. And in that moment, he could have both expanded and teched to tier 2, which is where you upgrade your tree.
Right.
He does do so, but he delayed both by an uncomfortable amount. They could have been 30 to 20 seconds faster, either one of them. He decided not to do so. There might be a reason for this. It's a bit too easy to discard it just as a mistake. He might be seeing, okay, where's the Death Knight? I don't want to plop down my Tree of Life and then instantly have the Death Knight come in, and take it down. So I think he was playing based off information. He finally decided, okay, I'm going to tech, then I'm going to expand and harass. In true Night Elf fashion, do it all at once.
Do it all at once. I'll take a little bit of harass here, take a little bit of map control, and keep the enemies at bay, while all that is going to go my Tree of Life. And now, with the Keeper being level 2, he does have Entangle ready. He could either go for an Acolyte Harass here during the tech that's particularly painful. He could even go for the Ghouls to decrease the lumber income. But with the DK being close, I don't think that would make a lot of sense. DK mana, of course, great to use coils to heal. Now, it's still worth to keep the vision information up, of course, to know exactly where the Ghouls and the Death Knights are going. So I like the fact that HunteR is not really falling back just yet, that he makes sure to be a little bit more annoying, even trying to go for that Ziggurat that's currently in building process.
Yeah, so that was a nice cancel. That does a little bit of resource damage. He might be giving a tree of worth of experience. The Death Knight currently is at 200 XP. He's chasing the treant, will not coil. His mana is important to him. It should be noted that this was not an essential Ziggurat, as 25 out of 30 food meant iNSUPERABLE can still make his Lich presently. We have a bunch of ghouls here. We've had suspiciously little skeleton scouting by iNSUPERABLE. So although he may be able to smell it, he certainly hasn't seen it, that there's an expansion coming up.
And this is already a quite different beginning as well for iNSUPERABLE here. Instead of relying on Fiends and pretty heavy Fiend count relatively early, he's going for a lot more ghouls. And this kind of makes sense right now. If you look at the items on the Death Knight right now, we see a Sacrificial Skull, and he's immediately going for that gold mine next to his base. So that could be a counter expansion attempt, or maybe just a little bit of extra healing for that pretty powerful creeping spot here, actually. But the Keeper of HunteR immediately spots what's going on and is trying to find some juicy, tasty hurt ghouls. Oh, that's a big one. That's a big one. That's a great acid bomb coming in from the Alchemist as well.
Now, the thing is, if iNSUPERABLE gives up this position, this creep camp, I don't know if there's a way back. He is investing in a Slaughterhouse and a Tree of Life. Oh, sorry, in a Slaughterhouse in Tier 3. But he has just given up a fight with Lich out against a Keeper that has no mana. There is no Entangle. There was a lot of archers. You're supposed to Nova and kill them. I can't overstress enough how important it is. Nice around, great job. But there's a staff.
Gets out of there, the keeper that is. Doesn't even have to use the TP. The teleportation staff is enough to bring him back to safety. But as you said, Grubby, yes, that was a pretty big commitment, wasn't it? And now, look at that. There is a sentry ward guarding this place over for HunteR, so he will have perfect vision of what's going on, when the undead army is going to run away, and where they're going to. So this is really valuable information. In the meantime, we see finally the Night Elf expansion, the Tree of Life, marching over to the bottom right gold mine.
Yep, and crucially, what Insuperable didn't do, which Night Elves generally hate when it happens, is resetting the archer count. With this strategy, generally you'll have a massing of fairy dragons when the double gold kicks in from the expansion. But before that, you generally don't go 6 archer into fairy dragon. It's a little wonky, a little fragile. You open up with the hippo riders. They make the archers very tanky, mobile, big range, and that's your good damage. It protects your archers on the ground from ghouls and skeletons. And then after those 6 hippogriffs with 6 hippo riders, that's when they switch to fairy dragons. That's generally when Lich starts getting higher level. Fairy dragons are magic immune, so they can resist big novas. And this is something that Mass Hippo Rider would be more vulnerable against. We have a wonderful play by Rage HunteR here in the top left. The Keeper of the Grove has just staffed of teleported to a Wisp and killed the Acolyte. So that expansion attempt is dead in the water.
It is shut down, and once again, just like in that previous game, we see the undead, sweat drops are starting to form on Super Bowl's forehead right now, probably, because he knows if I don't do anything about that expansion in the bottom right, Night Elf is going to reach that critical mass of air units against me. This time, my Fiend production has actually been delayed. Only 2 Fiends in the undead base waiting right now. The reason why he's not using them in his army, calling them to the army, the rally point is not with him, is because of Keeper interceptions. There could be an entangle on the way, and that could result in dead Fiends pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And that'll be the last nail in the coffin for him, as he needs to get ready for this arms race against the Mass Air. The final Hippo Riders are coming in. That's 6 to his name. Destroyer upgrade, 60% of the way done. And that's going to help against Entangle, but those archers are on the hippos. They can jump right off again as well. And if they do, that's 6 angry hippogriffs chasing a destroyer with only 3 fiends to dissuade him from that. Meantime, there's going to be treants, and it looks like there's going to be a creepjack. Great awareness of where Insuperable is going to be at this moment. HunteR comes in and entangles the first crit fiend. Destroyers aren't ready yet. Oh, they are. There we go. First destroyer coil and devoured. Great job.
Yeah, that is an important save on the destroyer there for sure, but here they are surrounded and sandwiched by angry mercenaries on the right and an even angrier Night Elf player on the left-hand side. 2 fiends are falling already. This is not looking that great. However, the first nets and webs are coming through. Great focus fire right now. Lich does have the Orb of Corruption, which is definitely helping out when it comes to dealing single target damage onto certain units. Kind of striking back now. The mercenaries, they also attack the Night Elf here quite a bit, it seems. Insuperable trying to go for a surround on the Alchemist, escaping this time around.
Yeah, the creeps definitely are a fickle lover. At first, they were helping with the backstab as HunteR comes in with the creepjack. The rock golem actually aided to kill the first of 3 crypt fiends, which also died with an air coil missing it. But then the creeps suddenly started turning against HunteR with ensnares on hippogriffs, which helped make up for the lack of crypt fiends, and that was actually fairly well handled.
Yeah, quite fair indeed, literally, Grubby. As you said, attacking a little bit of Night Elf, attacking a little bit of Undead. Mercenaries have no allegiance towards a certain race. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty good. Nonetheless, this expansion attempt on the on the top left is being repeated here by Insuperable. But HunteR, being that experienced player that he is, playing in WGL and other international tournaments over the last couple of months, he knows exactly what's going on here. He smells that expansion like it was a piece of pie and destroys it immediately.
Exactly, and that's, again, that means there's no plan B, but Insuperable, he's making fiends. He's got enough food for, he's stubbornly making another Acolyte, but he's got enough food for a Tavern hero. What we sometimes see is a 3rd hero Alchemist, which is quite good against all this air by the Night Elf. This is actually a pitifully small attack, too big to ignore, but it's so small that HunteR was able to successfully buy so much time with this right as iNSUPERABLE made it here. Now, trading town portals, that's 350 gold each. Fairy Dragon died while trying to run away. But we've got double the gold here for HunteR. He even stayed on 50 food for a very long period of time. He's a little bit caught between tech routes, though. Strange. He secured an advantage. Then he made a Hunter's Hall in his main base. He went to the Tree of Eternity. And he also created a Chimera Roost, which is currently 30% of the way done. And is that a second roost? Double roost, Hunter's Hall. And the weird thing is, you don't need a Hunter's Hall for Chimera. So that's a bit of a change of heart. He thought maybe I'll make Dryads or Mountain Giants, and he changed his mind. So HunteR is spreading himself very thin, and I fear for him that iNSUPERABLE might be making a comeback. That's a lot of Crypt Fiends. That's more than we've seen at any one point in any game.
That is true. That is a very healthy number of Fiends right now. One gets killed in the process, though, but still, I think if iNSUPERABLE micros this well and has good focus for, always dances back and forth to not give too much target surface onto the Night Elf army, that could be huge. There's basically one, maybe two Hippo Riders for free, but now he needs to do the kiting. He needs to do the dance. Do the undead dance, back and forth, back and forth. Don't give the Night Elf too much time. Great Fiends safe there with that coil, but already the damage is coming through with that, Acid Bomb Entangle. That is so crucial when it comes to dealing damage to those squishy Fiends. The Night Elf Alchemist actually coming in with a Chemical Rage as well, dealing particularly great damage against those medium armor units. No, for now, iNSUPERABLE, he's not dying, but he's also in a pretty critical state. If he loses more units, he might not be able to have the masses against the Night Elf right now.
Yeah, the main point here is the DK control. It has been quite good. He's been removing DK from the front lines of the fight. Destroyer's low, and first Destroyer goes down. They're still in Tangle. He's got to be careful with that DK. He goes for the nuke on the Alchemist, but the invulnerability potion was fast enough by HunteR. Great reflexes. We have iNSUPERABLE here with the option to retreat to the Healing Fountain and heal up all these low units, but he decides to keep fighting. This is a decision he's making. He's not forced to do so because he can actually run away with his superior movement speed thanks to the Unholy Aura. But actually, it doesn't look too bad. And keep in mind also what he's fighting for. iNSUPERABLE has snuck back an expansion on the map. He's mining with 2 Acolytes right now.
That's a great point.
But he's killing units as he retreats. This is called static stepping. You make use of the time between attacks to move in the direction that you would like to move. In this case, away, but not without showing your teeth.
And look at this Lich. He is now at level 4 Lich. That is a pretty big step towards a level 3 Nova, potentially at level 5, which is going to do also well against all these archers and Hippo Riders. Of course, these Fairy Dragons won't really care too much about that, but at some point, the stats alone on these high-level undead heroes, especially the Lich with that Orb of Corruption, can make so much of a difference, and he might actually get the big boy, gets the cheeky web inside, and here goes the Chimera in the middle of the map. Just a great catch. That was an expensive one.
Yep, that's 5 food, 2 heads, and a lot of gold. 330 gold, experience, and it's all gone missing. Plus, that was the grand surprise that HunteR was gravitating towards after basically giving up map control from a very advantageous situation. This is what he was taking to. There we go, another Fairy Dragon. Acolytes are streaming in. He's going to re-mine again. But the DK nearly got surrounded. Keeper, though, out of mana.
That was dangerous. And speaking of mana problems, mana issues, so do the undead heroes struggle right now. The Alchemist gets a level up here, tries to go for another Fiend. There goes the Chimera damage, coming in pretty hefty. And more are those unit numbers dwindling for iNSUPERABLE here. His hero health also not really the strongest. Once again, we're going to do the aura check, level 2 aura, so no death pact on the DK so far.
Yeah, unless he has Death Coil level 2, which I've seen happen, but it's definitely not going to be a decision he would make here. The coil from downtown! He had an invulnerability potion, but he timed them perfectly. The coil flies, the Nova hits, and that was bada bing, bada boom, Keeper of the Grove gone. Exactly what iNSUPERABLE needed. He is up against the ropes. He has a lot less food count. Lich gets saved. But can he scrounge by a defense here? Can he keep this expansion up?
That was an important save there. If that Lich falls, it is all of a sudden back one-on-one on the hero count. But with that hero advantage, already iNSUPERABLE is looking so strong. The Keeper, I think it was level 5. That takes so long to actually get him back in the altar. And if he goes for a Tavern Revive, even for a rich Night Elf that has been mining money from the expansion for a long time, that's going to cut a lot of budget from his plan. And yep, there we go. Whips him from the tavern. That's a lot of gold.
Exactly. I think it's about 680 gold maybe with 160 lumber. So that was a lot of the bank that he had built up. He then immediately uses his Keeper to drink a lot of mana from the Moonwells, which is expensive. They're empty now. It should be noted that despite the presence of a Hunter's Hall, Wellspring has not been researched for the Night Elf. So he doesn't have those really beefy Moonwell juice, the bigger pools that people get where there's more space for extra juice. He hasn't got it. No TP. Awkward position here for iNSUPERABLE. Coil is good, but he needs to get out of here, and he needs to get out of here fast.
Yeah, he needs to do it ASAP right now. Quick item check on the Death Knight. No healing, no invul. This is a hardcore hero on the Night Elf, giving the Undead a little bit of taste of his own medicine there, and both heroes on the run. Now, there are no Dryads, no slows ready, but the Keeper Entangle was enough, and down goes the Lich. That's a juicy bit of experience. And what's even more important is right now, look at the Chimera count. It is 1, 2, 3 of them, 4 actually, 4 Chimeras, and now we have the Corrosive Breath, long distance siege damage, and after all this hard fought battling in the middle of the map, the Night Elf is finally at the destination where he wants to be, destroying the income of the Undead. How much gold is left in the main mine? 2.6. Doesn't really have a whole lot of time anymore iNSUPERABLE, that is, to make a stand.
Yeah, I mean, it was bad. He got creep-jacked. You're supposed to use Skeletons or Caution in those situations. Yeah, he calls the game. I mean, he was down less than half in food, less than half in income, and it was just too much. Great job by HunteR there to get the 2-0 after a little bit dubious tech switch with an unused Hunter's Hall, but yeah, great job by HunteR. iNSUPERABLE, in that moment where he got creepjacked, he split his DK and his Lich, crucially, and I think unnecessarily, which means there was no Unholy Aura for the Lich, Kendric, and then he ritualed a Crypt Fiend for max mana, but then he didn't Nova once, so none of the Keeper, the Chimeras, got slowed. There is a world where that Lich lives. In that world, does iNSUPERABLE win? I don't know about that, but the Lich could have lived at least for a bit.
Yeah, at least he could have kept himself somewhat in the game. It was a very sticky situation that iNSUPERABLE found himself in, as you said, Grubby. The army count was a little bit overwhelming, especially with that expensive yet paying addition of the Chimeras. Then, of course, the heroes, they were pretty even, I would say, on both sides in terms of levels. Although normally with equal level, you would say that the undead heroes usually outperform in the late game. But unfortunately, iNSUPERABLE, although once again looking pretty strong, actually almost stronger than in game one, I would say, it just wasn't enough to kick a world-class player like HunteR out of the ring for now.
Yeah, exactly. It was a good performance, and he's getting better, especially in the mid game. Though the early game created a whole different dynamic. We've had a really good early game for him, game one. Good mid game in game two. Game three, good late game, maybe?
Maybe. As we used to say in Heroes of the Storm, right? Even if you have a good early, the late game is what matters, and that goes for all competitive multiplayer games out there. Even if you make a couple of mistakes in the early game, if you have that glorious snap moment where you catch a hero off guard, you save your own hero, you defend your expansion, that's where you can really make a difference. And I really think iNSUPERABLE is not done yet. I don't think he's out of cards yet. He really has what it takes to push HunteR to the limit, at least. And he wasn't even sure if he was going to play Undead, by the way, during the pre-show interview that we did with him. He was saying that he could actually bring Orc to the table as well. And he was actually more confident in his Orc skills against Night Elf than his Undead skills.
Yeah, I have faced him a bit. His Orc as my Night Elf. And, Orc is his second race. I'd say Night Elf is my second race. So it should be like roughly quite equal. But I found his Orc to be actually quite good, quite technical, very aggressive. And I think I lost a few games and I won a few games. Like even though Night Elf is favored in this matchup right now against Orc, I found that he did quite well, Farseer rushes and otherwise. So that's why I was quite excited also to see if he will go for Orc in this series.
Wow, iNSUPERABLE, if you're watching the VOD of this cast, you heard it here, my man. Grubby says your Orc is quite formidable. That's like getting knighted, you know?
But his Undead has been doing pretty well as well. Very heavy on the micro, these kind of fights. You have to get the perfect devours, the perfect coils. The keeper kill was really cool. It was possible for iNSUPERABLE to win this, and in fact, I felt like he was ahead at one point.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
He needs to have a little bit better scouting. He got creep checked a few times. And at the end of the day, there's two major paths: the left side and the right side on Concealed Hill. If you're going to be creeping anywhere on the path and you're looking to defend an expansion, the opponent will find you. It's really not that hard. Where are you going to be, really? So you should be ready for that and get away.
So, Grubby, I want to ask you a question in this Night Elf versus Undead matchup. So we've seen these early expansions coming in almost every single time, and usually they're going unpunished because Undead lacks the early game pressure. So a lot of Undeads that I've seen in the pro scene, they've used a late game Tinker as a third hero. And that can often be used as additional, normal damage against the buildings to, with a Pocket Factory, bring them down quicker. What is your thought on that?
Yeah, Tinker has actually been so good against Night Elf as a third hero. Seems strange, cannot be death coiled, but it's exactly that which you're mentioning, that siege damage against the tree, that just changes the dynamic. Remember that base trade where HunteR forced the town portal out of iNSUPERABLE? And iNSUPERABLE had 45 food. He had enough gold for a third hero. If he had picked up a Tinker and he goes to the Tree of Life, and he momentarily tells his acolytes, like, take care of yourself for a second. Like, I'll be there in a moment. And he just uses that factory with the siege damage explosions from those Tinkers and the factory. Maybe he kills the tree, he goes back, and he brings back the point to a 1 versus 1 base situation.
Yeah, that is basically the leitmotif, that you often just not just undeads, by the way. Orcs and humans sometimes have the same thing, especially orcs, I would say, who lack counter expo measures as well. You have to bring that goddamn Night Elf expansion down. It's so frustrating to sometimes, just send wave after wave into the natural. Sometimes it works. Most of the times it's pretty hard. And
actually, what you see sometimes is undeads will just take down the haunted gold mine instead. It doesn't cost a shred of money to repair it for the elf.
True.
And it doesn't cost them anything to remake it. But taking it down finally exposes the wisps. It buys you time. They stop mining. You can kill the wisps. And that's sometimes even better than getting a Tree of Life to 20% life. I still would have liked to see Alchemist third. Alchemist is a tanky melee hero that has a natural anti-air attack. And if he had gotten that as a third, he would get another hero essentially with an orb effect who can attack air even in the absence of a web. He can get acid bomb to focus fire enemy air units or heroes. It's quite strong. I've seen Happy use it, which means it already has the seal of approval for Undead versus Night Elf as well.
Yeah. While we're waiting for map number 3 to be decided in the lobby to be created, guys, we're going over the format of today's fight night. Once again, for those of you tuning in later or tuning in for the first time, this is a new Warcraft 3 format sponsored by HeroesHearth Entertainment with Grubby and myself, Kendric. And this will happen every 2 weeks, which means in 14 days from now, we're going to have a new challenger in this King of Hill format. So whoever wins this best of 5, at the moment it looks like it's going to be HunteR, but of course, you never know if iNSUPERABLE manages to bounce back. We'll be playing in 14 days again from now. And the prize pool, ladies and gentlemen, is a pretty nice one, given the fact that it's just, a fresh start with a brand new format. The winner takes 200 juicy pizza dollars. The loser goes home with 100 still. Not too shabby. We'll keep you on a healthy pizza level for quite some time. And during the broadcast, so right now, ladies and gentlemen, you got the chance to contribute, to make an impact on the actual outcome of the game by dropping a couple of bits here and there. 40% of all the bits you guys donate during the stream goes over to the bounty. 25% goes to the champion fix. 25% also go to the challengers fix, and 10% goes to production. So we are able to continue bring this format to you. And hopefully, so far, you're having a blast. I'm definitely having the time of my life here casting Warcraft 3 with Grubby. Looking good and feeling good. Feeling even better.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this one as well because it's 2-0 now. I am 100% okay with dominant performances. Some people will be like, oh, I want a 3-2, a 2-3. And while it's true that getting spoiled to more games is good, I have nothing but respect for the player that can keep his cool, his poise, and close it out 3-0 without showboating or going easy.
Absolutely.
Give us a 3-0.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, yeah, go ahead. It
also makes for a great storyline too, right, Grubby? When someone is just coming in, swinging into this first round, demolishing their opponent 3-0, and then you have, this anticipation, this excitement. Oh, the new challenger, can he take down the champion that looked so good in round 1?
Yeah, exactly. And after all, we are looking for a king of the hill here, not for a peon of the hill.
Haha.
No, but
That's true.
It's true. Let's see that king of the hill emerging. And you know what? We already have another player waiting for the next match. I don't think we're supposed to say who yet, but we have the next challenger waiting. In 2 weeks from now, the winner of this will face someone else. They'll be trying to take their lunch money. Take the bounty.
Do we want to give them a little bit of a tease, the people out there? Do we want to give the starting letter of his ID? Or are we getting in trouble?
This player embodies a sin.
That is true. That's
all we're gonna say.
That's all you guys are gonna get.
And I think no one will guess it.
And even if you did guess it, guess we won't confirm it.
Kendric, but I will. Just whisper me after the tournament.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, map number 3 is going to be Last Refuge. Pretty cool map. Shouldn't be too one-sided or leaning towards a certain race too much. We're just waiting for HunteR to join the lobby as well. Should be there in a minute, and then we got this going. And something we haven't talked about at all, Grubby, actually, is what's going to happen after the winner has been crowned today. Is that going to be all? No, of course it won't be.
No, Kendric, it won't be. Tell us what's going to happen.
So basically, we at HeroesHearth, we thought about you guys first, as we always do. The viewers' experience always goes first. And we thought, we're not done with this series just yet. So if there is a winner, we're going to have another match. The so-called
another match?
Another match, Grubby. Exactly. You get so much value just for tuning in for free. So
what is that?
That's right. So in the wildcard match today, guys, we're going to have the players swap races. So that means HunteR would become undead and iNSUPERABLE would go OP mode with Night Elf. And that would be our icing on the cake, for you guys.
Nice. and are viewers able to watch this for free, Kendric?
They're definitely going to watch it for free.
Okay, is that an echo effect, or do you have someone else in the room there?
I actually teleport to my second casting studio that has tons of echo with blank walls and stuff, and then I teleport Blink back right in for you.
Okay, I see. So this map is I don't see the official Blizzard logo on this map. So one way, back in the days when we used to join StarCraft 1 custom games or Warcraft 3 custom games, sometimes it says Melee. And then it's a ladder map, but the Blizzard logo is missing, which is a vouchsafe that the map hasn't been tampered with. So sometimes people would create Lost Temple, but they make Orc 4 times as strong. And they try to bait people to join games. They're one-on-one, no noobs, pro games only. And they pick Orc, and then they're oh. I've never done that, of course, because I have moral fiber. But I think it's so funny when it has happened.
That is so amazing.
This map doesn't have the Blizzard logo. And I'm just going to let... this isn't the Blizzard stream. We can say far more than we could say on any of the professional Heroes of the Storm broadcasts we've done. We've basically been given free reign to say anything we want on this stream, which is great.
Yep.
So iNSUPERABLE hosted this game. If if his ghouls look like they're doing 1 million damage, it's probably not an illusion. Okay.
Let's keep an eye out here on iNSUPERABLE. But yeah, we're of course not going to assume anything of that nature. No shenanigans here. Speaking of no shenanigans, undeads are usually not very known to go for shenanigan openings with heroes and stuff. Sometimes you will see a Dreadlord sneak through, but usually in 90% of the games, I would say it's still the good old Death Knight.
Yeah, I mean, as cool as Dreadlord is, sometimes in Mirror, I think in Mirror on Terranus stand it can work. It's pretty cool against humans sometimes, especially on maps without mercenary camps. And against Night Elf, I've enjoyed a lot of success with it as well, against some of the best Night Elves in Europe. However, when I play Night Elf against Dreadlord Expand, I'm just like, I'm just going to mass Huntresses from 2 Ancients of War, and I don't know how Carrion Swarm without a mana pool or a statue is going to stop me. And I would expect if Hunter sees a Dreadlord Expand, he's going to pop down an Ancient of War. He's going to do a Hunter's Hall. He's going to mass hunts. He's going to forget about any air battles and just rush, maybe with a Shop, Ancient of Wonders, and Clarity.
All right, in the meantime, we see HunteR taking that first camp without breaking much of a sweat. The Acolyte was retreated as well by iNSUPERABLE. Does want to give that extra experience for a keeper that starts with Entangled
DK
first.
is stuck!
Oh,
the DK is stuck! He just freed himself. Do you see that one stump of a tree? Yep.
Oh. Happens to the best of us, and now everybody on camera caught it. Thanks, Grubby.
I mean, that's just wonderful. And you know what? He doesn't know about the trick. If you have ghouls that are trying to free yourself from the tree, you can actually alternate gather and attack commands. So you can go Ghoul Mining Chop, Attack Chop, Ghoul Mining Chop, Attack Chop. And if you do it like that, you almost cut down the tree with double speed. He didn't do that. He was just mining lumber. So he could have cut down a little bit more time. And Tangle's around, but he can coil the tree and... Oh, yeah. Did they just time out, the trees?
I think they just stopped existing there, yeah. So the suffering... Good. The early suffering of the Death Knight is not over yet. First, he's stuck in his own base. Now he gets entangled, almost fully surrounded there as well. And now he already took a little bit of a beating there. Is not level 2 yet. This time he won't have such an easy time, kiting and running around with healing a little bit while the undead, the Unholy Aura is going to heal him. So yeah, this couldn't really... I mean, it could go worse for iNSUPERABLE already. This is probably the least impressive start that we've seen from him in all 3 games thus far.
Yeah, exactly. At least on Concealed Hill, though he got no harass value in, he was creeping a bit. Now he hasn't really. 32 experience is what, maybe 1 Treant, I think is what he got.
Yeah, 1 Treant exactly, that is what he got. Must have been something else, though. I think a Treant doesn't give 32 experience, so maybe he got 2, no, not 2 Treants, maybe a Wisp? Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he got Wisp is 25. Maybe he got that Murloc level 3, the Ensnare dude.
Yes, that's true.
He might be worth 32. Level 1 creep is 20, so that seems to make sense. Now, I want to point out, HunteR's expansion is rather late. It just went down. This is cancelable. Death Knight is going to find it with the skeleton. There is a pink next to it. Oh, the save.
And there goes the surround. Has to use the TP scroll already. The suffering continued.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk how different it could have been. There are no wisps nearby. Use the DK more carefully at a greater distance. The moment you see archers, don't go too near. You go to the tree, skeleton starts swiping, you attack the pig, skeletons attack the tree. Maybe you get it, maybe you don't, but at least you can run away if you think you're not going to make it. You do a bit of damage.
Yeah.
Immediate counter expansion though? I mean, there's a clarity potion of rejuvenation on this keeper.
And an Ancient of War.
He wakes it up, which actually speeds up the first Bloodlust and makes it so that iNSUPERABLE doesn't have the correct auto attack target on his units. So that was a really cool move. He can now even use Wisp to dispel skeletons and Blight. He goes straight from Keeper.
Another air coil, as you said earlier, Grubby. Beautiful dodge there with that Wisp, preventing it from getting killed by building a quick Moonwell. Fantastic.
iNSUPERABLE's level is already a lot higher than from what I've seen from him on the ladder, because he has a lot less ping now than playing on the European ladder.
You mean HunteR?
HunteR.
Yeah.
HunteR, yes, exactly. He's really playing nicely, even with the micro moves, the surrounds, just doing a lot of good moves, and he is very close to being a world contending Night Elf, on par with someone like Foggy, I think.
Yeah.
Has shown really good plays today so far.
Trying to go for the Keeper surround now, but easy kill on the Ghoul here. Breaking no sweat. He didn't even try to wiggle his way out with Keeper. He knew exactly how much damage he could inflict with the Archers and the Alchemist. So he was actually baiting iNSUPERABLE into, committing more to this surround because, he tried to really get the Keeper down. And there goes another Ghoul. There goes level 3. Level 2 trans, most likely. That's going to mean even more reinforcements joining this expansion cancellation.
Yeah, we've got iNSUPERABLE having lost a lot of ghouls. There's still a lot of archers left here. This is an undefendable expansion, and his continued non-cancellation of it shows where he's at in his mind right now. I mean, that's an Entangle level 2, so he didn't go for the Treants, and it gave him the Death Knight kill. It's gonna die to Acid Bomb in 3, 2...
Got him. And he basically wanted to deny any counter value for iNSUPERABLE here, even teleporting out of this team fight. Realizing, though, it doesn't even matter. Guess what HunteR is going to do now? Fully juiced up from the Moonwells, not even buying a second TP. He's going to return to battle with a full HP, full mana Keeper, getting those preemptive Treants out of the woods immediately. And now with more army and more archers available, I think he's going to put the nail in the coffin of this expansion for good. Unless iNSUPERABLE goes for a miracle surround, maybe some good hero focus is in order, but that is going to be almost impossible to hold.
Yeah, Entangle level 2, there's Treants, there's Acid Bomb. HunteR's making a little bit of a mistake here. He's upgrading Nature's Blessing from his main, subsidiary tree, the one that's supposed to simultaneously be walking to the top left.
Yes. Of course, the Nature's Blessing also works in the Treants of the Keeper of the Grove, making them a little bit tankier, and I think also faster, right? Movement speed, yes. Yep. There we go. That's a nice upgrade. But as you said, could have actually done that in the main base. So the Tree of Life could have already walked towards the expansion. A little bit of a delay. And that's the thing too, right, Grubby? The expansion hasn't been up. So every loss that HunteR had taken in these early skirmishes would have been pretty painful. Good thing is, though, he didn't take any losses. He played that near perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. And now with the Nature's Blessing, Tree of Life walking into position, the air battles, the air army coming out again, iNSUPERABLE being only at level 2-1. All HunteR needs to do is to continue to close it out perfectly. And he's only been playing better as the series went on.
That is right. Very true, very true. You can definitely tell that HunteR got a little bit used to the matchup, found the weak spots, found the habits of his opponent as well, and adjusted accordingly. Now, going for that Ghoul Harass, of course, with a level 2 Entangle is super strong. Gets another kill. Might even be able to steal some mercenary experience there as well.
5 ghouls taken out by Keeper, Creeps, and finally the belated Alchemist. This is just brutal here. Keeper of the Grove, not even any of his archers or Hippo Riders yet. If you can't stand against a single hero, then what hope have you got against the entire might of Mordor?
Speaking of which, though, there's a little bit of undead magic coming into the fray now, going for that hero focus on the Alchemist. The invulnerability potion was swapped though from the Keeper preemptively. Nice micro there by HunteR, and with that potion in place, he saves the Alki, and that really keeps him, in the game for now. Not really that he is behind, but that keeps him in the fight to prevent any undead attacks. And in the meantime, Grubby, this expansion from the undead player iNSUPERABLE he's trying to rebuild it. And if that goes through, maybe he finds another trump card to strike back.
Yeah, I mean, I guess sometimes we write eulogies a little too early, which the living are rather not happy about. Like, thanks for saying all those nice things at my funeral, but I'm actually very much alive and kicking. I'm not quite dead yet.
Knocks on the coffin. I'm still there.
I'm still here. I still got something to say about this. I don't think this is cool. And HunteR, he's only mining now. His wisps finally went into his expansion right now. So if that Alchemist had died, iNSUPERABLE might not have been in such a horrible position. We are talking about a 10 food differential right now between the two. So as much as HunteR should be miles ahead, his slow macro on his Tree of Life at the expansion has actually set him less ahead than he could or should be.
That's true. And I was already wondering if HunteR would show us a different strategy. Maybe going for some Mountain Giants, for some Dryads. But he sticks with his good trusty old air unit, never change a winning team, I guess. But also what this allows him to do is to actually use air units sometimes, go for this wide open expansion place, and maybe harass some Acolytes from behind, something you couldn't do as easily with Mountain Giants and Dryads. So there is quite a lot of possibilities to HunteR available on how he wants to play this. Wants to go for team fights, or maybe go for some more creeping, go for some harass in the base, in the main base, the expansion. Looks like he's trying to put the nail in the coffin as quickly as possible, going on for in front on attack.
Yeah, so he's playing on his fundamentals, right? Like, he's just trying to play as standard as possible, because that's what has been working for him.
Exactly.
We have the one web on the Fairy Dragon, but it goes into phase shift mode, which gives it plus 12 armor, and actually has it not being dead presently. Lich auto attacks are doing 16 damage.
And all that damage is raining down on Death Knight. Lord Stalker has to get out of this battle immediately. He only has one invul potion available right now. He's so close to level 3, which would really help with a hero nuke, which would really help when it comes to dealing healing over to his own Fiends. Speaking of which, there isn't really a whole lot of Fiends left available. In fact, he's queuing up 3 at the same time right now in his main base crypt. He may have forgotten about production here with all this micro that was needed to do for him. So, yeah, no anti-air whatsoever. This Night Elf army can do whatever it pleases. He's trying to go for a desperate Alki focus here, but he makes it out just last second.
Yeah, 52 health left. The Acolyte wasn't slapping. I wondered whether it was going to be a 5 HP difference. Then that lack of Acolyte slap would have definitely been quite a pity.
Oh... And here goes the Lich. Goes down, and so do the hopes of iNSUPERABLE of winning this best of 5. He goes down to HunteR, man. The Night Elves reign supreme today. But as you said, Grubby, I think you made a brilliant point during the game. HunteR looked pretty much iNSUPERABLE today. Haha. He looked really good, didn't he?
I had another good one with 3 Crypt Fiends in the crypt. I guess that's why they called them Crypt Fiends. Because they were all in the crypt. All in production. But as bad as our jokes are, so good was the performance here. So good was the performance here by HunteR with a 3-0 victory. HunteR is the very first winner of the HeroesHearth Fight Night. And that means he will go on to face another challenger unless he decides that the cheer bits that have come in, the little bounty that he could collect right now is enough for him, and he says, no, that's it. I can beat iNSUPERABLE, but I can't bear to face anyone else. I don't think he'll make that choice, but it is his choice. So we'll see. But there is a next challenger waiting already, and that's normally who HunteR would be facing. For now, this is his night. He's just got a victory in front of almost 2,000 people here. $200 in his pocket, plus whatever cheer bits you guys have contributed. But we're not quite done yet, are we, Kendric?
Exactly. We've got one more to go, and that is the so-called wild match for you guys. So now things are going to get a little bit messy, a little bit chaotic, but it is wanted to be this way because we're going to have some funky rules apply. This week, we decided to come up with the Switch Race format. So both players are going to have to play the race that they just faced against, which means iNSUPERABLE will go Night Elf, gets a little bit of that sweet, sweet Keeper life himself, potentially if he doesn't go Demon Hunter or anything. And his opponent, the former Night Elf, will now have to play the Undead Scourge. And as you said, Grubby, it's really going to be interesting to see if HunteR says, bring it, guys, bring the next challenger, I'm not scared. Or if he turns chicken mode on and says, you know what? I'll take that bid money. I'll take my win here. I'm going to go down in history as an undefeated Fight Night champion.
Don't shame the players for walking away. We don't know how much they needed, okay? There's nothing wrong with bravely running away, tucking your tail, and bravely running away, never to fight another day. There's absolutely no shame in it.
Yeah, but I think at this point we can all agree on the fact that it would be way cooler if he fought again, and I'm pretty sure that's what he's going to do. Because HunteR being such an experienced player, he's definitely there also as well, of course, for the money and the fame and the glory. Trying to maybe make a name for himself in the Western scene there for the fight night. Speaking of which, once again, it would be cool to maybe get some Asian players going at some point. We're definitely open to that. So if Koreans and Chinese players were open to competing, that's definitely not out of the realm of possibilities here.
Yeah, it's a little more challenging sometimes with the hosts, but it's especially with the recent change where there's only one host per server. It had a few positive side effects, but host searching for equal ping has been a little bit more difficult. But we'll see how it goes. We'll make sure that we bring all the good matches to you via the fight night. Hey Kendric, what do you say after? I don't know if you feel up for it yet, but after this match, you want to go to our favorite beer place?
I feel like we're definitely down for that.
Are you feeling it already? Because we could be celebrating.
I'm kind of thirsty right now already, Grubby. You want to go check it out immediately?
Yeah, me too. I was getting a bit of a dry throat after all that casting. Let's go.
Okay.
That's much better.
So refreshing.
Yeah, this is my favorite place.
I wouldn't mind some Pandaren action now, perhaps, to maybe go along with it, right?
Yeah, let's see if we're gonna have some Pandaren Brewmaster action coming out. But for now, let's have a good one. First round's on me. If we'll see how it goes after this round. If you're not too drunk yet, I don't know. Are you a lightweight?
It depends. There are some weak, but also some strong spots. It all depends on what kind of liquid I take into my body. But if we're having a cool,
you can't talk about that here, mate.
I'm talking about a cool blonde glass of lemonade, of course.
Right, of course.
Then there's absolutely no problem.
So we have the we have the next map coming as Kendric and I toast one golden one to the victory here of HunteR. We shall see if Night Elves will reign supreme today, this time in the hands of iNSUPERABLE in our reverse derby, iNSUPERABLE Night Elf and HunteR as Undead, or if HunteR will go 4-0. And if I'm HunteR here, I would really think that this match is rather important to me. If he loses, people can say, well, Night Elf won. Woohoo. Big surprise. But if he wins, he's like, I'm on top with both sides of the matchup. That's why these reversals are so cool.
Yeah, then he's like, I don't even need the keeper. I don't even need my Night Elf shenanigans. I can beat you in iNSUPERABLE, take you home to school with every race that I please to. So yeah, this is basically some extra glory till we won for sure. This should be an important one.
Yeah, I'm glad that we had that beer before going to watch, because I wish, as casters, we're supposed to sometimes hype matches up that aren't going to be great. But this is not going to be a good game. Like, I'm just going to tell you guys right now. Because HunteR says, he can't play Undead. This is not going to be a good game. Don't expect good games. But what you will get is a funny one. So get ready for a funny game of Warcraft 3. We're ready, and we'll have a good time, and so can you.
All right, and that's really what it's all about, man. The fight night is here to bring you guys crazy mayhem, something you don't necessarily get to see every day, in the competitive Warcraft 3 scene. So feel free to spread the word, by the way, guys. Share your news about the format. Tune in again in 14 days from now. But for now, let's just lean back, get some popcorn ready, maybe some cool drinks as well, and we're going to watch what HunteR all of a sudden can do on Northern Isles playing the Undead race. And his opponent in the top right, going down 0-3 in the normal match, unfortunately, trying to save his honor and redeem himself a little bit here at least, playing Night Elf, and that's iNSUPERABLE.
Yeah, let's jump into the game. The show is on the road. iNSUPERABLE now, as you said, as the Night Elf. And I did just hear from our lovely production crew, I think I got that one wrong, HunteR must stay this time for the next match. So he will face a challenge.
There we go.
Come what may. It's only afterwards that he can elect to keep the bounty or walk away. So we are definitely going to be treated to HunteR versus someone. and we will hear from our production crew if we can announce that someone yet, so we can get everyone hyped for the next match. But that will be at the end of this broadcast. For now, the wildcard match, reverse races, HunteR Undead in Super Bowl Night Owl.
And let's check the hero choices here right now in Super Bowl. Not going for anything out of the ordinary, finally tasting the keeper juice in his veins. And he is going to use that superstar here at the moment to potentially break the will of HunteR as well, whose cigarette is now completed. Goes for the Dreadlord. There we go, baby.
Okay. Dreadlord coming out. We had the Altar Crypt built into a delayed cigarette, which means early ghouls, delayed hero. That means, and also he's not scouting with an acolyte. So we got straight up 5 ghouls, Dreadlord, and then we'll see what he does. He has the following option: take 1 ghoul to the expansion, pull the creeps away, then move in with the other 4 ghouls, the Dreadlord, and wait like an ambush party at a very poorly lit road. Wait for the golems to come back. And when you do it that way, and they want to go back to their starting location, the creeps that is, they won't cast any spells. Rock Golem doesn't throw rocks, which is nice. I hate it when people throw rocks at me. And the Mud Golems won't slow. It's much easier to creep that way, and that might be a plan for him to do a Dreadlord 5 ghoul creeping of the expansion. However, the Keeper isn't going to let that happen. First, he needs to deal with the Keeper, and he wants to hide the fact that he has a Dreadlord. Does in Super Bowl know? We could have a Sleep Surround here. He's done the Entangle Surround.
Yep.
HunteR, would he do the Sleep Surround here? And it looks like we have in Super Bowl playing very, very safely.
Brutally killing that sheep here to get some cheap early skeletons as well that can help with the early creeping. But it looks like HunteR's a little bit indecisive here as what he wants to do. That was the scout, wasn't it? The Wisp was definitely in range to see the DL.
Yeah, he knows. But the funny thing is, HunteR pulled back the skeletons. So 0 skeletons got detonated, 0 mana got burned. That Wisp had the saddest life ever, was made, saw, detonated, and didn't get anything done for it. Sleep in range. He goes for it. There's no second Wisp.
There's no Wisp anymore to dispel it. There's a second Sleep now coming in as well. Easy peasy surround here, even micromanaging it, so it will definitely be enough. And the early TP going in as well. That's pretty good to use the TP early rather than late, so you don't burn that much moon juice when you want to come back. And we did see the Entangle early, right, Grubby? So that means no Treants to harass any early shenanigans with that expansion. That's already quite the help here already.
But one question, why does HunteR have a graveyard? He doesn't know that Sacrificial Skull no longer requires a graveyard.
For early Ghost Towers, maybe?
No, there's no way that he needs Spirit Towers. Like, he got the graveyard because it used to be a prerequisite, but half a year ago, it was removed as a prerequisite for Sacrificial Skull. So he still made it. That's just 215 gold wasted in his early build order.
HunteR just likes to keep it OG, old school, and he's also super indecisive on what he wants to do. Huntress is coming in from Super Bowl right now, and they're going to tear these ghouls apart. There's still... Actually, he doesn't go for an expansion. He doesn't go for an early creep anymore. He goes for a tech route now, HunteR, and I think he hasn't actually left the inner circle of his base so far. Goes for a second rod of Necromancy, and he's already getting pinned against the wall here. Poor Dreadlord.
There's few things worse than Dreadlords on one basis.
Yes.
Nails on school boards are one of them. But for the rest, this is pretty much it. Oh, I hate it, yeah. But that's how I feel when I see this.
Some people might get ASMR from that these days, though. Kids are all super weird.
Peeps are crazy, dude.
Have you ever had a nail on school board moment when you were a student?
There were kids that get off on other people being uncomfortable. I'm one of them, but not like that. That's too much.
Were you the one scratching or the one that was being tormented?
No, I can't deal with that stuff. Like I'll do other awkward things, but not that. That's too much. I'm not evil.
Well, let's see what Super Bowl can do with this one now. He's actually going for an expansion himself right now. Tree of Life building up. And right now, I don't really see what HunteR can do about this. With 4 Huntresses already being, 5 Huntresses actually being there already. These ghouls are going to suffer like there was no tomorrow. But with that early graveyard, I guess, Grubby, he could go Fiends now, right?
Yeah, he could do Crypt Fiends, and at least he doesn't have... Oh, that's a surround. Oh, no, he let him go. Oh, he reaffirmed it. But it's true, he could go... Oh, he actually goes for Vampiric Aura. He hadn't picked his ability yet, and I thought, yeah, maybe it is Dreadlord Crypt Fiends. But he picks Vampiric, and unlike in Super Bowl, he does that illogical late town portal that doesn't really get you anything except more green.
Yeah, there's no Moon Juice here available here, so that Dreadlord is going to have to play very carefully. And although this Vampiric Aura looks nice because so many units are now benefiting from it, it's just not a whole lot of healing that it does in the early game.
Yeah, 20% per hit, but the Dreadlord can never get near enough to get that lifesteal in. So I guess if he wants to be alive, all he needs to do is to run into 7 Huntresses to get some auto attacks in so that he can heal. Good luck.
What could possibly go wrong with that? And down goes the shop. iNSUPERABLE does not have any intentions or plans to stop this attack and show some mercy. He's definitely out seeking some revenge here, some vengeance. Yeah. And down goes the Nerubian Tower. Scroll of the Beast, hype for the Dreadlord.
Yep, now that's 25% bonus damage. So that's even more lifesteal. And you know, at this point, HunteR is like raging about the fact that, you know, we had many different plans for the wildcard match. We settled on the reverse race matchup, but another option was karaoke, and I bet that he wished he could show us his best Britney Spears right now, because this reverse race thing isn't working out for him.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we could actually make the bridge and transition to is that basically HunteR is getting hit a lot of times by iNSUPERABLE, so doesn't even have to use the Britney Spears song to ask for it. iNSUPERABLE is just doing it naturally.
True.
Can't argue with that logic.
Yeah, because I should have played Elf in her best of 5. The burn. I mean, HunteR, he plays... Well, he would have liked to have the reverse matchup, sure. But like, would his Night Elf be good enough to beat HunteR and Mirror? Somehow I doubt it, dude.
Yeah, who knows? Okay, so going full tier 1 here so far in Super Bowl, that is. Do we see any tech coming through? Tier 2 is here. It goes double Ancient of War. So let's see. No plans, actually. No real plan made. Looks like he might go for that infamous, you know, I'm just going to roll over you with my tier 1 Night Elf style.
Yep. I mean, as soon as OC style was mentioned. I mean, OC was someone who played a lot on the ladder a long time ago, and he came back when Warcraft started getting patched again, and he just got really sick win rate on the ladder with Mass Huntresses and Alchemist first, or some other hero, just Mass Hunters in every matchup. So he plays that really well, and actually traditionally, believe it or not, one American player or another, be it OC or Strifecrow or Axlav, there's always been a lot of good players from North America who are massing Huntresses. And yeah, I know some people would be like, oh yeah, difficult, huh, mass hunts. But it is true. Like, they can get a lot of wins against some sub-top pros, and they use it well. They know the timings, they know the micros, they know the pressure points, what works, what doesn't work, and they just get really good knowledge about it. And I just remember a lot of good NA players with mass hunts. So here we go.
So Grubby, are you saying you kind of just blew my mind, so thank you for that input. Was Strifecrow a Warcraft 3 pro, or was he just a very good ladder player? Because I know he's been a very successful Hearthstone pro player.
Yeah, but before that, he was part of a successful 2v2 team in the WC3L, the Warcraft 3 league. This was the most reputable Warcraft league for teams. Yeah, with Strifecrow. He was Night Elf. Strifecrow played a lot of Night Elf as well, but also random. So they had one of the best 2v2 teams in the world, despite in one-on-one not really playing in tournaments. So they were able to challenge some of the best one-on-one players when they were a team in doubles. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I remember all those years ago, 2v2s actually used to be part of the professional scene a lot more. These days, it's become really rare. I'm not even sure if there's a single league or tournament that features 2v2 only these days. There is?
The Warcraft 3 Info League that has been playing for a few weeks now. Pretty funny format. It's also created by a community organization, just like HeroesHearth with the Fight Night. So a lot of cool new initiatives with Reforged. And they're having some team play as well, which is just a lovely game mode. Warcraft 3 does 2-on-2 very, very well.
Yeah, also been a real favorite of mine back in the days. I used to have a buddy that I played a lot of Orc Undead with. Certainly very enjoyable. Speaking of which, though, back to this fight going on. There's a whole lot of Red Night Elf ladies fighting in the back here. All these archers and huntresses are dealing terrible, terrible damage onto this undead army. But for some weird reason, I don't even know how and why, Hunter is still in this game, and he kills one huntress after the other. His micro is actually starting to kick in as well.
Tree of
he
life!
Might go...
He built a tree of life in the middle. Get out of my game!
Soon your base will be mine to harvest from.
Yep. When you expand in the opponent's base, you're pretty confident or pretty stupid, or maybe both. Oh. It looks like it's working. For a while, Hunter wasn't really killing anything. And as you said, iNSUPERABLE wasn't really killing anything. As you said, Hunter was holding. But now...
Yeah, and that, of course, is now a very sad moment for Hunter, losing his Dreadlord. Going for a DK as a second, by the way. Of course, needed to keep those fiends alive, to keep the main hero alive, the first hero too. 2 sentry wards, by the way, being placed right next to one another. But yeah, as you said, Grubby, there's a very thin line between madness and genius at some point, and I think iNSUPERABLE is cracking it both here with that Tree of Life support coming in. Normally, you're used to seeing Ancient of Wars, maybe if you're really crazy, something else there, but not necessarily the Tree of Life.
Oh, good surrounds. I mean, nice job by iNSUPERABLE there with the surround repair, and that's going to be a GG. Night Elf reigns supreme 4-0, but iNSUPERABLE gets a small band-aid on his gaping wound that Hunter delivered him. He walks away with the victory, the last one of the night in this wildcard match. I actually think do they get a small stipend for the wildcard match as well, or maybe some like gear or whatever, or is it just for honor, which would be enough as well?
So basically, the way it works is all the bits that were donated during the wildcard match, they basically get, forwarded to the players. So they have a little bit of a bonus time to actually get some bonus prize pool, which is a nice thing to have.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, thanks to everyone who cheered some bits. This is a new match, a new format, a new player in the Warcraft 3 esports scene. HeroesHearth is well known in the Heroes of the Storm scene, but we haven't really seen them in Warcraft 3, and they're now branching out. They even have a YouTube channel where you can rewatch this and all the future YouTube videos as well, all the future fight nights. Why don't you just go ahead and subscribe to it already? If you type !YouTube in the chat, you can find the channel there. I don't think it's called anything yet because it doesn't have enough subscribers. Yeah. It has 14 subscribers. We can do something about that, right, chat? If you want to see more fight nights with our cast and the future challenger against Hunter, let's get that subscriber count up a bit and thank this new player in the esports scene for coming up with more Warcraft content.
Can we get a Grubby seal thumb of approval for the YouTube channel so people know it's legit? There we go, guys.
I got you one better.
It's Logan approved. Oh my god.
High five for the YouTube channel. High five. High five, Logan. Come on.
Aww.
Oh, goodbye. Subscribe.
I've never seen a more convincing argument to subscribe to a YouTube channel than that one. So check us out, guys. HeroesHearth is really doing a lot for the Blizzard communities out there. As you said, Heroes of the Storm is on the menu. They've got a World of Warcraft project going on with Limit, the former Limit Guild. And now we're getting into Warcraft 3 again. And we certainly hope that you guys like the content, that you enjoy all that fresh stuff that we're bringing at you. And I think today was already a pretty solid display of what's to come in the future in 14 days from now with a new challenger emerging to challenge Hunter once again. And Grubby, who's your... Wait, you have a new best friend? I thought I was your best friend.
He likes you too. And one day we'll all meet and We can talk about good old times in Heroes of the Storm and the wonderful times to come up. It's just a gift from Logan. He wanted me to have a chip on my shoulder. So there we go. I had a wonderful time casting this with you tonight, Kendric. Same. I think you've probably casted every single hour of the day now, because you used to cast the Chinese esports for Heroes of the Storm at like an ungodly hour, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., and now we're at like, what, 4 a.m.?
Yeah, at this point, I don't even have a sleeping rhythm anymore. I can basically program my body to the necessary time zones that I have to be online, right? Asian time, no problem, sign me up. NA times, got you covered. So
after the stream, you press a button and it's like...
If only that was so easy. I wish I could do that. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is it for today. I think we don't really have anything else to announce other than, follow the Twitch channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, spread the word, tell your friends, your family, and your grandmummies around about it. So they will all tune in 14 days from now. We're going to find out who... Oh, wait. I think, Grubby, we can announce who the new challenger is going to be. I checked the channel on Discord, and they allowed us to.
Oh, cool.
The honor is yours.
Well, actually, the first guess was correct immediately. I forgot who said it, but it was
Really?
It was a sinful embodiment, I said. And I was very pleased to see people guessed correctly right away. It will be the North American orc player, Pride, who will be taking on HunteR.
Nice.
So we've got HunteR versus Pride, Night Elf versus Orc. And I think it's going to be amazing. Let's see if Pride can take down HunteR. Pride boys, his luckiest player in the chat. Pride boggers.
Nice.
He's a really good player, also known from back in the days, and very solid as well. I had a show match against him myself that I only narrowly won 2-1. Good player. Vouch for him. Hope it's going to be a good match. We'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Big shout out to everybody for watching. Thank you so much. Big shout outs also to the players and our observer, Kayakiri, who did a fantastic job. We'll see you again in 14 days from now. Until then, guys, take care and have a great night. See you around.